Maria Thompson was an elderly woman who lived in a small, peaceful neighborhood. She had spent most of her life in this area, raising her son Daniel and caring for her little home. Over the years, she had seen the neighborhood change a little, but she loved it all the same. Her days were quiet and calm, filled with small routines that brought her comfort. She loved to tend to her garden in the morning, enjoying the bright colors of her flowers and the smell of fresh soil. It gave her a sense of happiness and peace, something she had worked hard for over the years. One warm, sunny afternoon, Maria was carefully watering her garden. She bent down to check on a small rose bush that had recently sprouted tiny buds. The sun shone brightly, and the birds chirped softly around her. Everything felt ordinary and peaceful. She hummed a soft tune as she worked, feeling the satisfaction of taking care of her little plants. Suddenly, she noticed a car slowly driving down her street. At first, she thought it was just someone passing through. But then the car stopped, and two uniformed officers stepped out. Maria straightened up, her heart beginning to beat a little faster. She had always respected law enforcement, but something about their approach felt different. Their expressions were serious and their eyes seemed fixed on her. "Ma'am, step aside, please," one officer said, his voice firm and commanding. Maria froze for a moment, unsure what to do. She had always followed the rules and kept her property neat. Nothing she had done could be wrong, at least she thought. I'm just in my garden," Maria said softly, trying to remain calm. "I haven't done anything wrong." The officers exchanged glances but didn't reply. Their faces remained stern and they moved closer. Maria's heart began to race. She had lived a long life and had faced many challenges, but this was different. This was frightening. She tried to think clearly, wondering if she had misunderstood something or if there had been a mistake. "Ma'am, you need to comply," the officer repeated, his tone sharper now. Maria's hands trembled slightly as she clutched the watering can. She looked around, hoping someone nearby might see what was happening. But the street was quiet and her neighbors were inside their homes, unaware of the tension building in her front yard. Maria tried again, speaking in a calm and steady voice. "I'm sorry, officers. I don't understand. I have done nothing wrong. I am just taking care of my flowers." The second officer stepped closer, his expression still serious. Maria felt a chill run down her spine. She had never experienced fear like this. Not in all her years. She had always believed that if she was honest and kind, the world would be fair to her. But now she felt unsure, anxious, and vulnerable. As the officers moved closer, Maria felt the instinct to call for help. She fumbled for her phone in her pocket, her hands shaking. She thought about calling Daniel, but he was supposed to be at work. Would he get there in time? She didn't know. Her mind raced with questions and worries, trying to figure out how to keep herself safe. Just as she was about to speak again, she heard the sound of footsteps running down the street. Maria turned her head and saw Daniel coming toward her. He had finished work early and decided to visit his mother. Seeing the officers confronting his mother, his heart skipped a beat. He immediately understood that this was serious. "Mom, what is happening?" Daniel shouted as he reached the front yard. Maria felt a wave of relief wash over her at the sight of her son. She knew that with him here, she might be safe. The officers paused and looked at Daniel. Maria noticed that their expressions changed slightly. Perhaps they had not expected anyone else to arrive. Daniel walked quickly toward his mother, placing himself between Maria and the officers. "Step back," Daniel said firmly, but calmly. His voice carried authority, and Maria felt her courage return a little. She had always known that Daniel was protective of her, but seeing him act so decisively now filled her with gratitude. The first officer frowned and spoke again. "Sir, we are asking your mother to step aside. She needs to comply." Daniel shook his head. "She has done nothing wrong. You cannot treat her this way. She is an elderly woman and she deserves respect. Now please explain what this is about." The officers looked at each other and for a moment there was silence. Maria watched as Daniel's presence seemed to change the situation. He spoke with confidence and his eyes did not waver. Maria felt a small smile on her face, a mixture of pride and relief. Her son had grown into a strong, thoughtful man, and in this moment his strength was exactly what she needed. The tension in the air was noticeable. The officers shifted their weight, unsure how to respond. Daniel continued speaking, his voice steady and calm. "If there is a misunderstanding, we can resolve it politely. But you cannot intimidate my mother. She has lived a long life and has contributed to this community. She deserves respect and fairness. Maria took a deep breath, trying to calm her nerves. She looked at Daniel and nodded slightly. She trusted him to handle the situation. In her heart, she knew that Daniel would not let anything bad happen to her. She felt grateful for his presence and his courage. The first officer finally spoke, though his tone had softened a little. "Sir, we are just following protocol. Please, we need your cooperation." Daniel did not back down. "My mother has already explained herself. You need to explain why you are threatening her before asking anything else. This is her home and her garden. You cannot treat her unfairly." Maria felt a sense of hope rising inside her. Perhaps the officers would understand and leave. She looked around her garden, feeling proud of the life she had built, the flowers she had nurtured, and the love she had given her family. She realized that she had always believed in kindness, and now that belief was being tested. The officers remained silent for a few moments, and Daniel continued to speak with patience and determination. He emphasized that his mother was elderly, that she was a valued member of the community, and that no one should feel intimidated in their own home. Maria felt her hands relax slightly. She could see the effect Daniel's words were having. The officer's expression softened and the tension slowly began to fade. Maria's heart, which had been racing moments ago, started to calm down. She felt relief and gratitude toward her son, who had stood up for her in a difficult moment. Finally, the first officer spoke, his voice calmer. "Sir, we apologize for the misunderstanding. We will explain the situation and ensure there is no further issue." Daniel nodded, satisfied that the immediate danger had passed. He looked at his mother and smiled gently. "It's okay, Mom. Everything is fine now." Maria smiled back, feeling safe and reassured. She looked around her garden, taking in the flowers, the sunlight, and the peaceful neighborhood she loved. She realized that even though life could bring challenges and fear, the love and support of family could make all the difference. As the officers returned to their car, Maria and Daniel stood together in the garden. Maria felt a sense of relief and gratitude she had not experienced in a long time. She realized that courage, kindness, and the support of loved ones could overcome fear and intimidation. The sun continued to shine, the birds continued to sing, and Maria felt a renewed sense of peace. She knew that life could be unpredictable, but she also knew that she was not alone. Her son was there, and together they could face anything that came their way. And so, as Maria continued to care for her garden, she felt a deep sense of comfort. She had faced a moment of fear and uncertainty, but with Daniel by her side, she realized that love, respect, and family could overcome even the most challenging situations. The afternoon passed peacefully, and Maria returned to her daily routine, feeling grateful for the protection, courage, and love of her son. The day after the encounter with the officers, Maria woke up feeling a mix of relief and unease. Though the immediate danger had passed, her mind kept replaying the events of the previous afternoon. She poured herself a cup of tea and sat by the window, looking out at her garden. The sun shone brightly and the flowers seemed to glow with vibrant colors. Maria tried to focus on the simple beauty of her surroundings, but a quiet worry lingered in her heart. Daniel entered the kitchen, carrying a small bag of groceries. He smiled gently at his mother. "Morning, Mom. I thought I would come early today and help with the chores," he said. Maria smiled back, feeling comforted by his presence. "Thank you, Daniel. I still cannot believe what happened yesterday," Maria said softly. "I have lived a long life, and I have always tried to be kind. I never imagined anyone would threaten me in my own garden." Daniel nodded. "I know, Mom, it was unfair and unnecessary. But now we know that we need to be cautious and stay prepared. I do not want anyone to make you feel unsafe again." Maria appreciated his concern. She had always admired Daniel's protective nature, but she also valued his calm and thoughtful approach. He was never aggressive or reckless. He always found a way to handle problems with intelligence and care. After breakfast, Daniel suggested they go for a walk around the neighborhood. Maria agreed. She needed to clear her mind, and Daniel wanted to check if any of their neighbors had seen the events of the previous day. Walking slowly along the quiet streets, they greeted familiar faces and exchanged polite words. Some neighbors had noticed the officers but had not intervened. A few expressed sympathy for Maria, telling her that such incidents were rare but that they could understand her fear. Maria felt a small sense of comfort. She realized that she was not entirely alone in this world. People around her cared and noticed when something was wrong. As they returned home, Daniel stopped near the fence that separated their garden from the street. He looked at his mother and spoke with a serious tone. "Mom, I think it's important we prepare in case something like this happens again. Not because we expect trouble, but because it is better to be ready. Safety is important, and it is something we can control." Maria nodded thoughtfully. "You are right, Daniel. But I do not want to live in fear. I just want to enjoy my days peacefully." "I understand, Mom. We will not let fear control us, but we can take simple steps, like keeping the house secure, being aware of our surroundings, and knowing what to do if anyone approaches unfairly. That way we stay calm and safe," Daniel explained. Over the next few days, Daniel helped Maria organize her home and garden to make it feel safer. They repaired the fence, cleared the pathways, and made sure the house doors were easy to lock but still welcoming. Maria found comfort in these small actions. She realized that preparation did not mean giving up peace. It meant protecting it. One afternoon, as Maria tended to her roses, Daniel sat nearby reading a book. The sun was warm, and a gentle breeze carried the scent of flowers through the air. Suddenly, Maria noticed a car slowly moving down the street again. Her heart skipped a beat, but Daniel saw it too. "It's okay, Mom, let's just watch," Daniel said calmly. The car stopped, but this time it was not the officers. A young woman stepped out and waved at Maria. Maria recognized her as a neighbor's daughter, someone who often helped in the community. The tension in Maria's shoulders relaxed. "Hello, Mrs. Thompson," the young woman said with a friendly smile. "I just wanted to bring over some fresh bread and say hello. I heard about what happened, and I hope you are okay." Maria smiled warmly. "Thank you, dear. That is very kind of you. We are fine now." Daniel rose and greeted the young woman politely. "We appreciate it. Your timing is perfect. It's good to have friendly faces around." The young woman stayed for a while, chatting about everyday matters and bringing a sense of normalcy back to Maria's days. Daniel noticed how much his mother's mood lifted during the visit. It reminded him that while the world could be unpredictable, kindness and community always mattered. Later that evening, Daniel and Maria sat together on the porch. Maria reflected on the events of the past few days. "Daniel, I am grateful for your presence. You stood up for me when I felt helpless. You made me feel safe again," she said softly. Daniel smiled, placing a hand over hers. "Mom, it is my responsibility and my joy to protect you. You have given so much love and care over the years. It is only right that I stand by you now." As they watched the sunset, Maria felt a sense of calm she had not felt in a long time. She realized that courage could come in many forms, not just in standing up, but in remaining calm, in preparing wisely, and in trusting those who loved you. A few days later, Daniel suggested that they organize a small neighborhood meeting. He wanted to ensure that everyone in the area understood the importance of community support. Maria agreed, seeing it as an opportunity to strengthen bonds with neighbors and create an environment of trust and respect. On the day of the meeting, neighbors gathered in Maria's garden. Everyone brought food, chairs, and a friendly spirit. Daniel spoke first, sharing the story of the officer's visit in a respectful and calm manner. He emphasized the importance of looking out for one another and creating a safe neighborhood. Maria felt proud as she watched him speak. His words were clear and thoughtful, and the neighbors listened carefully. They shared their experiences and ideas for keeping the area safe and friendly. The conversation was filled with respect, understanding, and cooperation. By the end of the gathering, Maria felt a deep sense of connection with her community. She realized that while fear and challenges could appear unexpectedly, love, trust, and preparation could help overcome them. Daniel's presence had been the key, but the support of the neighborhood also strengthened her confidence. That night, Maria and Daniel sat on the porch once more. The stars shone brightly in the clear sky. Maria sipped her tea quietly, reflecting on the lessons of the past week. She understood that life could bring surprises, both pleasant and challenging. But with courage, preparation, and support, she could face them all. Daniel looked at his mother with affection. "Mom, you have shown me so much strength over the years. Now I hope I have shown you that you are never alone." Maria smiled, feeling a warmth in her heart. "You have, Daniel. You have reminded me that even in uncertain times, family, love, and community can make all the difference." And so, as the quiet night embraced their home, Maria and Daniel felt a renewed sense of peace. They knew that life might bring challenges again, but together, They could face anything. The garden, the neighborhood, and the bond they shared were stronger than any moment of fear. Maria went to bed that night with a calm heart, knowing that courage was not only about facing fear but also about preparing wisely, trusting loved ones, and nurturing the beauty of everyday life. Daniel stayed nearby, keeping a watchful eye, ready to protect his mother whenever needed. The days continued peacefully after that. Maria tended her garden, greeted her neighbors, and enjoyed simple moments with Daniel. Life had given them a scare, but it had also strengthened their connection and reminded them of the importance of care, respect, and love. In her quiet moments, Maria reflected on how something frightening could transform into a lesson of hope and courage. She realized that even the smallest acts of kindness, preparation, and community support could create a sense of safety and happiness that nothing could take away. As the sun rose each morning, Maria continued her routine with a heart full of gratitude. She knew that no matter what challenges came her way, she had Daniel and her neighbors, and together, they could ensure that her home and garden remained a place of peace, warmth, and joy. A week after the neighborhood meeting, life seemed to return to its usual calm rhythm for Maria and Daniel. The garden was bright with fresh flowers, the sun warmed the small patio, and the gentle hum of daily life surrounded their home. Maria found comfort in her morning routines, enjoying the sunlight on her face as she watered the roses and trimmed the plants. Daniel had returned to his work, leaving Maria with quiet moments that were peaceful and reflective. However, one late afternoon, a small notice appeared in their mailbox. Maria picked it up carefully, curious. It was a letter from the local authorities. Her hands shook slightly as she opened it, unsure of what it might say. Daniel had not yet returned from work, and Maria felt a familiar anxiety rising in her chest. She read the note slowly. The notice explained that there would be a routine check of properties in the neighborhood. It sounded official and polite, but the memory of the previous officer's behavior made Maria uneasy. The letter instructed her to allow officers to inspect her garden and property at a specific time the following morning. Maria's mind raced. She had always respected rules, but the events of the past week had left her cautious. When Daniel arrived home that evening, Maria showed him the letter. He read it carefully and nodded. "It's a routine check, Mom. It does not sound threatening, but I understand why you might feel uneasy. Let's prepare together. We can handle this calmly." Maria felt a sense of relief. Daniel's calmness helped her think clearly.
"You are right, Daniel.
I should not let fear control me, but I do not want to be caught off guard again. The next morning, Daniel arrived early, carrying coffee for both of them. He helped Maria tidy the garden and make the house ready for visitors. "Mom, if we are polite and cooperative, this will be over quickly. We will show them respect and we will expect the same in return," he said gently. Maria nodded, her hands steady as she arranged flowers near the gate. She appreciated Daniel's guidance. He had taught her that courage was not just about standing firm, but also about preparation, composure, and calm communication. At the appointed time, a car arrived, and 2 officers stepped out. They were different from the previous pair, their faces neutral and professional. Maria felt a small wave of relief. She greeted them politely, keeping her voice calm. Daniel stood beside her, offering silent support. "Good morning, ma'am," one officer said politely. "We are here for a routine inspection. Please show us around your property." Maria led the officers through the garden, pointing out her flowers, the fence, and the tidy walkways. She spoke clearly and respectfully, answering their questions honestly. Daniel remained close, ensuring that his mother felt supported. The officers examined the garden carefully, noting the condition of the plants, the pathways, and the small structures. Maria noticed that they were professional and courteous, and she felt her anxiety ease. She realized that the previous encounter had been an unfortunate misunderstanding, not a reflection of every officer. As they finished the inspection, the officers thanked Maria and Daniel for their cooperation. "Everything looks in order," one officer said. "Thank you for your time and patience," Maria smiled, relieved. "Thank you. I appreciate your professionalism." After the officers left, Daniel and Maria sat in the garden enjoying the peaceful afternoon. Maria felt a sense of accomplishment and calm. She had faced another challenge and handled it with grace and support from her son. However, as the days passed, Maria noticed subtle changes in the neighborhood. A few new faces appeared, moving into nearby houses. While most were friendly, Maria felt a faint sense of curiosity and caution. She had learned that not every situation was straightforward, and she wanted to remain aware without letting fear take over. One morning, as Maria walked to the mailbox, she noticed a young man standing near the entrance of a new house across the street. He waved politely, introducing himself as Alex, the new neighbor. Maria smiled and greeted him warmly. Daniel soon joined her, carrying gardening tools. "It is nice to meet you, Alex," Daniel said. "We hope you enjoy living here." Alex smiled back. "Thank you. This seems like a friendly neighborhood. I'm glad to meet everyone." Maria felt a sense of relief. Meeting new neighbors with kindness and openness was comforting. She realized that while challenges could appear unexpectedly, friendliness and trust could help ease the tension. Over the next few days, Maria and Daniel continued their routines, but they remained alert. Maria found comfort in small actions like keeping the front gate closed, arranging her flowers neatly, and maintaining the garden's appearance. She understood that order and care could create a sense of safety and respect, sending a clear message that her home was protected by love and diligence. One afternoon, while tending to her roses, Maria noticed a small commotion down the street. A car had stopped abruptly, and a young woman seemed to be looking for someone. Maria's heart skipped a beat. She watched carefully, unsure if it was important. Daniel appeared beside her. "Mom, let's see what is happening, but stay calm," he advised. The young woman approached their gate, slightly out of breath. "Excuse me," she said politely. "I am looking for Maria Thompson. Is she home?" Maria stepped forward. "Yes, I am Maria. How can I help you?" The young woman smiled. "My name is Hannah. I live nearby and I wanted to introduce myself. I also wanted to ask if you have advice about the neighborhood. I just moved here and I have seen how well kept your garden is. It is beautiful." Maria's tension melted. "Thank you, Hannah. That is very kind of you. I would be happy to share what I know," Daniel observed quietly, pleased with the interaction. He realized that fostering positive connections in the neighborhood could make everyone feel safer and more welcomed. As Maria and Hannah spoke, more neighbors joined, curious about the friendly gathering. The afternoon turned into a small community meetup. People shared stories, exchanged advice, and even brought small treats to enjoy together. Maria felt warmth in her heart. She realized that building relationships with neighbors could create a network of trust and safety that no letter or unexpected visitor could threaten. That evening, Daniel and Maria sat on the porch reflecting on the day. "Mom, you see, even in situations that seem challenging, kindness and openness can make a difference," Daniel said. Maria nodded. "Yes, Daniel. I have learned that fear cannot control us. Courage is about facing challenges calmly and relying on love, trust, and preparation." The next few days passed smoothly. Maria tended to her garden, greeted new neighbors, and enjoyed peaceful afternoons with Daniel. She felt stronger and more confident than before. She understood that life could bring unexpected situations, but with calmness, preparation, and support, she could handle them gracefully. One morning, Maria noticed that a group of children were playing near her garden. She smiled and waved at them. Daniel joined her, helping to keep an eye on the little ones. Maria realized that community was not just about protection. It was also about joy, friendship, and care. Over time, Maria became a trusted figure in the neighborhood. Her experiences had taught her lessons about courage, patience, and the importance of support from loved ones. Daniel remained by her side, guiding and protecting her while also allowing her to enjoy her independence and peace. Maria's garden continued to flourish, symbolizing her resilience and the nurturing spirit that defined her life. The flowers, bright and strong, reminded her every day that care, love, and courage could transform fear into confidence. And so, life moved forward, calm yet vibrant. Maria understood that challenges could arise, but she was never alone. With Daniel by her side and a community built on kindness, she could face the world with strength and peace. The neighborhood had settled into a calm routine, and Maria felt more comfortable than she had in weeks. Her garden thrived under her care, with roses, marigolds, and daisies blooming brightly. Daniel continued to support her in small but meaningful ways, from carrying groceries to helping with minor repairs around the house. Life felt peaceful, yet Maria could not completely shake the memory of the earlier incidents. She knew that life could change unexpectedly, and she had learned to remain vigilant. One sunny afternoon, Maria was watering her garden when she noticed a man standing across the street. He appeared to be looking at several houses, but his gaze lingered on Maria's home. Maria felt a small twinge of unease. She had learned to trust her instincts, and something about the man's attention felt unusual. Daniel arrived shortly after, carrying a toolbox. "Mom, are you okay?" he asked, noticing the slight tension in her face. "I think so, Daniel. But that man across the street seems to be staring at our house," Maria replied, her voice calm but cautious. Daniel nodded, moving closer to the gate. "Let's observe quietly. We don't know anything yet, so we stay alert and calm. That way we are ready for anything without overreacting." The man seemed unaware of their attention. He jotted notes in a small notebook and occasionally glanced around the street. Maria felt a surge of worry, but Daniel placed a reassuring hand on her shoulder. "Mom, remember what we have practiced. Stay calm, be polite if needed, and trust that we can handle this together." As they watched, another car pulled up and a young woman stepped out. She waved at the man, who nodded, and they began walking toward the house next door. Maria recognized that house as belonging to a family new to the neighborhood. The man and the young woman spoke quietly, then moved on. The feeling of unease lingered, but Maria breathed a little easier, knowing that nothing immediate had occurred. Later that evening, Daniel suggested they talk about safety measures again. "Mom, we have prepared before and we will continue to do so. It's not about living in fear, it's about being aware and ready." "Let's review our steps," Maria agreed. They went over simple but effective precautions. They ensured doors and windows were locked, lights were functional, and the front yard was well lit. Daniel also encouraged Maria to keep a phone close and have a list of emergency contacts ready. Maria appreciated the calm, practical approach. She realized that preparation did not mean surrendering peace. It meant protecting it. The next day, Maria received an unexpected visit from Hannah, the neighbor who had introduced herself a few weeks earlier. Hannah was smiling, holding a small basket of fruits. "Hi, Maria. I thought I would stop by and share some fresh fruits. Also, I wanted to ask if you might have advice about caring for roses. Yours are so beautiful." Maria smiled warmly. "Thank you, Hannah. That is very kind of you. I would be happy to help." The two women spent the afternoon talking about gardening, sharing tips, and laughing over small stories. Daniel worked nearby, fixing a broken gate hinge, but occasionally joined their conversation. The friendly interaction reminded Maria of the value of community. She realized that support and kindness from neighbors could create a sense of safety that went beyond locks and precautions. However, the peaceful routine was interrupted a few days later. Maria was in her garden when she noticed a small group of people gathering near the entrance of the street. They were unfamiliar faces, and their presence immediately caught Daniel's attention when he arrived home from work. "Mom, stay calm," Daniel whispered as he observed them. The group appeared to be talking quietly, but Maria could not hear their words. Daniel suggested they remain inside the house for now. "We will see what happens before making any decisions," he said. The group lingered for some time, looking around the street, occasionally glancing at houses. Maria felt a pang of worry, but Daniel reminded her to focus on facts and not fears. They watched from the window, noting that the group eventually dispersed without approaching their home. That evening, Daniel and Maria discussed the events. "Mom, you see? It's important to stay alert but not let worry overwhelm you. Some situations may appear unusual but turn out to be harmless. The key is preparation and calm observation," Daniel said. Maria nodded. "You are right, Daniel. I feel stronger now, knowing that we can handle these things together. Fear does not have to control me." The following week, Maria received an invitation to a small gathering hosted by the new neighbors. Daniel encouraged her to attend, believing it would help strengthen their connection to the community. Maria agreed, seeing it as an opportunity to continue building trust and positive relationships. At the gathering, Maria was greeted warmly. The neighbors were friendly and welcoming, sharing stories, food, and laughter. Daniel observed quietly, pleased to see his mother engaging confidently and openly. Maria realized that community connections could turn uncertainty into comfort. She felt a deep sense of gratitude for the relationships she was cultivating. On their way home, Daniel and Maria walked slowly, discussing the day. "Mom, your kindness and openness make a difference. People notice and appreciate it," Daniel said. Maria smiled. "It feels good to see how simple gestures can create trust. I have learned that courage and kindness together are powerful." As days passed, Maria continued her routines with renewed confidence. She tended her garden, greeted neighbors, and enjoyed quiet afternoons with Daniel. Yet she remained aware that life could present unexpected situations. She understood that vigilance and preparation, combined with trust and support, were the keys to peace. One afternoon, while arranging flowers near the gate, Maria noticed a car parked nearby. A young man stepped out holding a clipboard. He approached the house cautiously, knocking politely on the front door. Daniel appeared behind Maria, alert but calm. "Good afternoon," the young man said politely. "My name is Samuel. I am conducting a neighborhood survey. May I ask a few questions?" Maria smiled, relieved by his respectful approach. "Of course, Samuel. We would be happy to answer." The young man asked about their experiences in the neighborhood, their thoughts on safety, and their sense of community. Maria responded kindly, sharing her insights. Daniel added thoughtful points, emphasizing the importance of cooperation and neighborly support. After the survey, Samuel thanked them and left. Maria felt a sense of accomplishment and relief. She realized that not every unfamiliar situation was a threat. Calm communication, preparation, and kindness could transform uncertainty into understanding. That evening, Daniel and Maria reflected on the past few weeks. "Mom, you have handled everything with courage and grace," Daniel said. "You have faced challenges, uncertainty, and moments of fear, yet you remain calm and thoughtful." "That is real strength," Maria smiled, feeling a warmth in her heart. "Thank you, Daniel. I have learned that courage is not the absence of fear. It is the choice to act wisely, prepare carefully, and trust those who care for you. You have shown me that, and I am grateful." The following mornings were peaceful. Maria tended her garden, enjoying the sunlight and the bright colors of her flowers. She felt confident and secure, knowing that Daniel and their supportive neighbors created a protective and welcoming environment. Maria reflected on the lessons she had learned. Life could bring challenges and surprises, but they did not have to control her. With preparation, calmness, kindness, and support from loved ones, she could face anything. One evening, as the sun set over the neighborhood, Maria and Daniel sat on the porch together. The sky was painted with warm hues of orange and pink, and the gentle breeze carried the scent of flowers. Maria looked at her son and said softly, "Daniel, I feel stronger now. I know that no matter what happens, we can face it together." Daniel smiled, taking her hand. "Mom, we always will. Together, with love, preparation, and courage, we can handle anything." And so the days continued peacefully, filled with small joys, gentle routines, and growing connections with the community. Maria's heart was calm, her spirit was strong, and her bond with Daniel was deeper than ever. Life could bring unexpected moments, but she was ready to meet them with confidence, kindness, and courage. The morning sun bathed Maria's garden in a soft golden light. Birds chirped happily among the flowers, and the air smelled sweet with the scent of roses and fresh soil. Maria stood at the edge of her garden, watering the marigolds she had planted the previous week. Life had returned to a peaceful rhythm, and she felt a sense of calm she had not experienced in a long time. Yet Maria knew that the world could be unpredictable, and she remained quietly aware of her surroundings. Daniel stepped out of the house carrying a small basket of tools. "Good morning, Mom," he said with a smile. "Shall we finish the repairs on the garden fence today?" Maria nodded. "Yes, Daniel. It feels good to maintain our home together. It reminds me of how much strength and care we put into every little thing." As they worked, Maria noticed a vehicle slowly approaching down the street. Her heart gave a small jump, but Daniel saw it too. The car stopped near the sidewalk, and 2 officers stepped out. Maria took a deep breath, remembering the previous encounters. Daniel immediately moved closer to her, placing a reassuring hand on her shoulder. "Mom, stay calm," Daniel whispered. "Let's see what this is about. We are prepared, and we will handle it together." The officers walked toward them, this time with polite and professional expressions. One of them spoke first. "Good morning, ma'am. We are here to follow up on the neighborhood survey and to ensure that everything is in order. We want to make sure residents feel safe and supported." Maria nodded, feeling a sense of relief at the courteous approach. "Thank you. We are happy to cooperate." Daniel stood beside his mother as the officers examined the garden and the property. Maria pointed out her flowers, the repaired fence, and the carefully arranged pathways. She spoke clearly and respectfully, answering questions as needed. Daniel remained quietly supportive, ensuring that his mother felt secure and confident. The officers finished their inspection and smiled politely. "Everything looks excellent," one said. "Thank you for your cooperation and for maintaining such a beautiful home." Maria felt a warm sense of accomplishment. The officers left, and the garden seemed even brighter after the encounter. She realized that patience, preparation, and calm communication had turned what could have been a stressful situation into a smooth and respectful experience. Later that afternoon, Maria and Daniel sat on the porch enjoying the gentle breeze. "Daniel, I feel so grateful for how you have guided me through these past weeks," Maria said softly. "Your calmness, support, and wisdom have made all the difference." "I feel stronger now than I ever have," Daniel smiled. "Mom, you have shown courage and patience. You have handled challenges thoughtfully and calmly. My role has been simply to stand beside you. Together we make a strong team." Maria nodded, feeling a deep sense of peace. She realized that courage was not just about confronting fear. It was about staying composed, preparing wisely, and trusting the support of loved ones. Daniel had shown her that strength could be gentle, protective, and kind. The next morning, Maria received a knock at the door. She opened it to find Hannah, her friendly neighbor, holding a small basket of homemade pastries. "Good morning, Maria. I thought you might enjoy some treats. I also wanted to thank you for your kindness and advice about gardening. It has made a big difference for me," Hannah said warmly. Maria smiled. "Thank you, Hannah. That is very thoughtful of you. It is always nice to share knowledge and help one another." Daniel joined them on the porch. "It is wonderful to see how our neighborhood is growing closer. Small gestures of kindness make a big difference," he said. Hannah nodded. "Absolutely. Seeing the care you put into your home and garden inspires everyone. It reminds us that community is about looking out for one another and showing respect." As Hannah left, Maria felt a renewed sense of connection to the neighborhood. She realized that the events of the past weeks had taught her more than just vigilance. They had taught her about trust, community, and the power of compassion. A few days later, Maria was working in her garden when she noticed another car approaching. This time, Daniel recognized the vehicle immediately. It belonged to the local neighborhood committee. Two committee members stepped out and walked toward the house with friendly smiles. "Good afternoon, Maria and Daniel," one of them said warmly. "We are conducting a follow-up visit to ensure residents feel secure and supported. We have heard wonderful things about your garden and community involvement." Maria smiled. "Thank you. It is very kind of you to check in. We are happy to cooperate." The committee members walked through the property, admiring the flowers, the neat pathways, and the care that Maria and Daniel had put into their home. They spoke politely and respectfully, discussing ways to support residents and encourage neighborly connections. After they left, Maria turned to Daniel. "It feels so good to see how respect and kindness can create trust. Even when there were challenges, we managed to maintain dignity and calmness." "That has made all the difference," Daniel nodded. "Mom, these experiences show that courage is not always about confrontation. It is also about preparation, communication, and support. You have shown all of these qualities." That evening, as the sun set, Maria and Daniel sat together on the porch. The sky was painted in soft shades of orange and pink, and a gentle breeze rustled the leaves. Maria reflected on everything that had happened. She had faced fear, uncertainty, and moments of tension, but she had also discovered strength, resilience, and the power of community. "Daniel," she said softly, "I have learned that life can bring challenges unexpectedly. But with calmness, preparation, and the support of loved ones, any challenge can be met and overcome. I feel stronger because of this." Daniel smiled and took her hand. "Mom, you have always been strong. These past weeks have only reminded you and everyone else of that. Courage, love, and care make a home truly safe, and you have shown all of these qualities." Maria felt a deep sense of gratitude. She realized that life was not just about avoiding problems, but about responding to them wisely, with composure, thoughtfulness, and love. She looked at her son and felt pride and comfort in knowing that he would always stand beside her, supporting and protecting her with care and kindness. The next morning, Maria decided to walk through the neighborhood to greet her neighbors. Daniel accompanied her, carrying a small basket of flowers from her garden to share. They visited houses, exchanging smiles, greetings, and small conversations. Maria felt a warm sense of connection and belonging. The neighborhood had become more than a place to live. It was a community filled with trust, respect, and mutual support. As they returned home, Maria reflected on how far she had come. The events that once caused fear now served as reminders of her resilience and growth. She understood that courage, preparation, and support could turn any challenging situation into an opportunity for understanding and connection. Later that evening, Maria and Daniel sat together on the porch, watching the stars appear in the night sky. "Mom, I hope you feel proud of yourself," Daniel said. "You faced uncertainty and fear, but you handled everything with wisdom, patience, and kindness." "That is true courage," Maria smiled, feeling a warmth in her heart. "Yes, Daniel. I am proud. I have learned that strength comes from calmness, preparation, and love. With family and community, life becomes brighter and safer. I feel grateful for everything we have faced together." From that day on, Maria's life continued with peace and joy. She tended her garden with care, enjoyed the company of neighbors, and treasured her moments with Daniel. She knew that life could bring unexpected events, but she also knew that courage, kindness, and preparation would always guide her. The garden flourished, just as Maria's spirit did. Flowers bloomed brightly, symbolizing resilience, hope, and the beauty of care and patience. Daniel and Maria shared quiet moments together, appreciating life's simple joys and the strength they found in one another. And so, Maria's days were filled with peace, love, and gratitude. She had faced fear, uncertainty, and tension, but through wisdom, courage, and the support of her son and community, she emerged stronger, calmer, and more confident. Life continued, filled with small joys, meaningful connections, and the understanding that together, any challenge could be met with grace and strength. Maria smiled as she looked over her garden. She felt a sense of fulfillment and happiness, knowing that love, courage, and community could overcome fear and bring lasting peace. The neighborhood had become a place of harmony and trust, and her home remained a sanctuary of beauty, safety, and warmth.